It's Wes. Welcome to this video. Today I'm going to share with you a video I made with the Canon R5, and I want to emphasize it's important to use your camera for good. And that's two things. Don't use your camera for bad, but use your camera for good. You're a beautiful person and a good person, and if no one has told you that today, let me be the first person to tell you that. Let's go. In this video, I was fortunate enough to tell a story about my sister who lives with a disability, and it was for a segment we did for Stories from the Front Line. And so without further ado, I'm gonna roll that video, and then at the end, I'm just gonna reflect a little bit on what it meant to use my camera to help tell a story. And this is about people who are affected by homelessness.
I grew up with a significant congenital spinal cord injury, using crutches to walk, until my 30s, when I began using a wheelchair. I grew up in a middle-class Los Angeles suburb. My father had the same job as long as I knew him. He didn't like his work or his career, but he stayed because supporting his family was what he valued the most in life. When my parents built a new home in 2000 and moved after 30 years of residency, our family home was dismantled by the new owners and a new structure built on that foundation. I learned from my dad the significance of stability, so the demolition felt like a loss of my history in some ways. I lived in that house for 18 years until I moved out to attend college, where I lived in a dorm. After college, I moved around a lot, never feeling like I belonged anywhere, and had difficulties finding the right job opportunity. I eventually realized that quality housing is determined by level of income. The U.S. Department of Labor Statistics reports that in 2020, 17.9% of persons with a disability were employed, down from 19.3% in 2019. For persons without a disability, 61.8% were employed in 2020, down from 66.3% in the prior year. The unemployment rates for persons with and without a disability both increased from 2019 to 2020 to 12.6% and 7.9% respectively. Data on both groups for 2020 reflect the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and efforts to mitigate it. Good, how are you? Let me have a real quick look here. I think it's right here, isn't it? Okay, so I think I'd like to get the grilled cheese. Stigmatization and disability are the measures of poverty and inequality in the U.S. because disability is the master trope of human disqualification, according to disability studies scholars Sharon Snyder and David Mitchell. Implicit biases that existed before the pandemic, such as fears of expensive reasonable accommodations and low expectations, eliminate people with disabilities from the workplace. People with disabilities should have the right in a free market economy to build a career and contribute their talents and achievements to the workplace. Equity increases access and opportunity to the workplace. But giving people with disabilities equitable access to work and the chance to succeed, that is empowerment. I've learned in life, employment is inextricably linked to stable quality housing and belonging in the community. My name is Marielle, and I am your neighbor.
Now, I had all sorts of plans going into this shoot. My sister wrote the script. We met in an apartment. We recorded the voiceover. And so I had the Rode Go wireless mic going into an interface and into the laptop. So I was recording her audio in Logic Pro, and then I would match that up with the footage later. And then everything else we recorded in the community in Santa Monica. And it was really important to show her moving through the community. So I went handheld, I went very light. I meant to bring a top handle setup, but I didn't even get that. We were just in a rush trying to get this shooting done in the time that we had. So I literally followed her around the community. We left the wireless mic on, which is why we got a little bit of that wild audio or the interactions with the barista at the coffee shop. And I was really happy with how this came out, and I think it showed a picture of people with a disability in a more complete way. I know my sister. I've known her for a long time. I love her, and I think that's reflected in the way the camera follows her. So just remember to get out there, use your camera for good, tell those stories, help people who need to amplify their narrative and amplify their voice, and cameras can make a huge difference. This is a real honor and a treat for me to share with you. So I hope you enjoyed this. This was filmed in 4K and C-Log. The technical details don't matter too much. I'm sure there's technical errors in this piece, but what matters is the heart. Thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I thank you. Give this video a like if you liked any part of this video. Leave me a comment and let me know what's the most compelling story you've been tempted to tell, you've told, you want to tell with your camera. Keep telling those stories. See you in the next video.